Welcome to the History of Ultimate podcast. In episode 5, James Huron sits down virtually with Billie Ashton and discusses her long history of disc sports, her foray into Ultimate Frisbee, and some personal moments from her life. Hi everyone, my name is James Huron, using him, he, his pronouns, and today I'm talking with Billie Ashton. Billie, why don't you introduce yourself and give a brief overview of your experience with disc sports, and then we'll dive into the details.
Okay, my name is Billie Ashton, and I grew up in Austin, Minnesota. And I kind of started getting into disc golf around my junior year of high school, where I played disc golf with just friends that I hung out with. And we'd play at night at Oak Park Mall, which was a new mall that they had built, and the parking lot had lights and stuff. So we'd go out at night at 9 o'clock after the mall had shut down. And then we had complete reign of the entire parking lot, where we used light poles and benches and anything that we could design our own course, because it was obstacle at that time. We didn't have an actual basket course. So That's how it kind of started for me. And then after I graduated in 76, then I went over to college in Winona, and then I met a guy, my guy across the hall from me in my dorm. His name was Tim Mackey. He was from Rochester. And then Tim was really into Frisbee. And then he designed a course on campus, and then also started an ultimate team at the college. So then after I got involved with that stuff, Frisbee just boomed for me. So it was really college where it all exploded for me.
Wow. Well, let's go back to, you said junior high, you were playing disc golf in the parking lot. What got you exposed at all to disc sports in general? Like, what was the first time that you saw a Frisbee, or you saw the idea of disc golf and you're like, hey, that looks like fun?
Well, I think, growing up, I think the early days before I even discovered disc golf was just playing catch with a Frisbee, just throwing it back and forth. And so we did a lot of that at the park. And it was just a nice way to pass the time and, crank the music and drink beers at the park and, just kind of toss back and forth and have a good time with it, and really just pass the time,
Yeah.
But I can't really recall when I actually first picked up a Frisbee. I'm sure it was young, maybe 10, 12 years old. I do remember the first disc. I really liked the Whammo disc, the 165, the 141. And because basically Whammo was the early days of Frisbee. Once they started making a plastic injection mold and stuff, it was they were the top dog, So, but I'd say about 10 or 12, I probably picked up a disc.
Okay, and then you started throwing around with the Frisbee. Did you come up with the idea of playing golf with it on your own, or were you aware that that was an activity that people did at the time?
Yeah, we from reading, I guess, it just I heard about people playing obstacle golf, so in high school we'd just hang out, and each of us would have a disc, and then we would just we'd point out, okay, let's throw to that pole there, and then we'd all throw, and whoever got the least amount of throws won that hole, just like golf. So it was we just kind of created our own holes as we went along.
Yep. Very cool. And at the time, were you aware about the sport of Ultimate Frisbee at all, or did that awareness come later in college?
I did not. Yep, I became aware of that in college from Tim. Yep,
okay.
Being the guy that lived across the the hallway from me in my dorm.
Okay, so let's go over to college then. You went to Winona State. I think it was 1978 to 1981. You said.
Yep.
And it was there that you found out about Ultimate Frisbee, was it an incredible coincidence that the person across the hall to you in the dorm also loved disc sports, or was there something else going on there?
Yeah, Tim was a very unique person because he was like he had gone to tournaments, and so he already knew like the frisbee scene on kind of like a national level,
Mm-hmm.
which enlightened me that I didn't even know that was happening. And so it really pushed me to like, because in high school, I was also like a collector. I like, if I picked up a disc and saw that it was unique, I started collecting them.
Mm-hmm.
And, but when I went to college and I met Tim, it was just, he was so into it that he was like infectious. He really was. And he I had kind of learned a nail delay, which is spinning a frisbee on your finger,
Okay.
and learning some tricks, which is called freestyle,
Mm-hmm.
is the event. But and then once and then Tim would like learn a new move, and he'd come over and knock on the door and go, "Hey, I got a new move. Check this out." So I learned a lot of freestyle moves from Tim, and then it actually just exploded for me into like freestyle, actually all the events, because we held at the college, we held a ACUI. It was called the Association of College Unions International. It was sponsored by WAMO, and they would send each college that wanted to participate in this, and it was like an accuracy and distance competition. So then we hosted that several years for WAMO. And then, once I got into all these different kind of events that you could play with Frisbee, it was just like, man, this is really cool, you know? And then just the people I met and introduced to, and, it was really, back then it was like still grassroots kind of, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me anyway. And then with getting into it, then I really got involved with like hosting and running a tournament, or then I guess I moved into, once we really were moving on the ultimate team, then I heard about the UPA, and then joined the UPA, and then also became a sectional coordinator for the UPA. So I organized our sexual tournament, or sectional tournament for like our region. And then if you won the sectional, you went off to regionals, and so on and so on. So when I was playing for Winona, I think we went to a sectional regional tournament up in East Lansing in, I think it was 78. And then might have been 79 in Lansing. And then in 80, I think it was St. Louis. And then 80 or 81, it was St. Louis. And then in my last year, I think it was Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky. So,
Okay, so that actually brings me to a listener question. They asked about how was Ultimate organized back when you were playing in college? And just from listening to you, it sounds like there was still sectionals and regionals, but the cities you just listed are pretty far apart. So you speak a little bit to that?
Like our region was very small, but there were the main focus of the teams that really competed on an annual basis kind of were Winona, Carleton College, Madison, St. Cloud. The University of Stout had a team, and Duluth had a team, but they really didn't come down to like the sectionals. So mainly the sectionals were kind of St. Cloud, Carleton, the U of M, Minneapolis, and Winona. So maybe 8 teams at the most.
Okay. Yeah. And do you remember at all how you finished in any of those years in college?
I know we went to the regional.
Mm-hmm.
I went to every regional in the years that I played in 78 to 81.
Okay.
But and then we never made it past regionals. But Winona, years after I had left, and I know that the team did go to I think they did go to a regional tournament.
Okay.
I'm not sure what year they went, but um, after I graduated, I moved up to the Twin Cities. So, and then I think I played a year with the Minneapolis Terrapins. And then I also played a year or two with the University of Minnesota Tasmaniacs. I don't know if you remember the name Marty Bacco, but Marty Bacco started the University of Minnesota college team called the Tasmaniacs. And Marty and I were freestyle partners. And so we did we went to a lot of freestyle tournaments and did all the tricks with Frisbee and stuff. And then I know that Marty started that team at college, and then they also were kind of in the Minnesota team or scene after about 1983, I think. And then shortly after that, Ultimate kind of fizzled out for me. Not that it, I ran a business. I started running a business in '83, and I ran it for 10 years. It was called Disc Concepts Incorporated, and our first thing we did was an ultimate tournament,
Mm-hmm.
where we called it the let's see, what was the name of it? It slips my mind. It was called the Showdown, preseason Showdown. So the idea of it was for all these teams that were in our section to come and play. And I know that at the time when you played Ultimate Tournament, it was always kind of a round robin thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that we had behind this tournament was we wanted to see who could come and just single elimination win it all the way to the end. But because we were offering like $150 cash to the winning team. So it got kind of heated when one team got kind of didn't make it. They lost right away. And then we decided, okay, we'll make it a double elimination. And then we kind of just went with that. And then Winona ended up winning the $150 cash.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of cool. And then after that event, I went on to with the business, I kind of went on to representing a little bit more of disc golf because, with Ultimate, it's a team thing, and you got to stay in shape. And I got more into disc golf because it was an individual thing, and with freestyle too, and then kind of moved over to all the overall events with accuracy, distance, discathon, DDC, MTA, freestyle, and disc golf. So those were all the field events that you can play with Frisbee. So, and then, not that I disliked playing Ultimate, but it was I wanted to change and play all this other events. And with Ultimate, it's just a commitment. It really is, because you got to practice and you got to make the team and you got to travel and it's a definite commitment. But I do enjoy the game. I love the game, and I'm actually going to the Wind Chill home opener tonight, so I'm going to be looking forward to that. So,
yeah, we'll have fun. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Question related to freestyle. You said earlier that you went to a few freestyle tournaments. I'm not sure how many listeners actually have ever attended a freestyle tournament, so I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about what that looks like.
Okay. Well, how I really got into freestyle was I found the Minnesota Frisbee Association in 1980. And they ran an event in Minneapolis down at Lake Nokomis. And it was called the Freestyle Players Association. It was a national tour for freestyle players that, Minneapolis was just a stop on that tour.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Minnesota Frisbee Association ran that event, and it was hosted down at, like I said, Lake Nokomis. And so these players would come from all over the country, New York, California, Colorado, and we'd compete at freestyle. Freestyle is you work with a partner or you can go into a division that's called co-op, and co-op is 3 players.
Okay.
Or you can go in mixed pairs, which is a woman and a guy and doing a routine.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the object is to just do all the moves that you know, and they set it to music. Yeah, I think you have like 5 minutes to do your best routine, and then you're judged on how well you execute and the difficulty of the moves and all of that. And then, so the tournament that the Minnesota Frisbee Association would run each year was called the Sky of 10. And because Minnesota has 10,000 lakes, it's kind of reference to the state of 10,000 Frisbees.
Okay.
And so when I joined the MFA in 1980, that was kind of another boost for me in the Frisbee world, because I had never heard of the club. And then I met all these people that organized the club. And then, you know, we had all these events happening and promotions that they did. And so it was just another level for me, that just like, wow, this is great. And this is like such a great pastime that as I age, I can still play. And, you know, and then also kind of shortly after college, when I graduated, I had a agent out of a company out of North Dakota contacted me about doing a school assembly program.
Oh.
And so a partner, a guy in my business with me, we decided to go on the road. So we did a 76 city tour of Minnesota, North Dakota, and Montana, doing school assembly programs. And all we had to do was we had an itinerary that showed what day we need to be at what city and what school and what time. So then we just, you know, we got on the road, we hit the road, boom, we're playing Frisbee. Sometimes we did 2 or 3 shows in one day. And I think it was 76 shows in 6 weeks.
Wow.
So, and I was getting paid to do that. I think I got paid like roughly $300, you know, a week to play Frisbee. And I just thought, man, this is awesome, man.
Yeah.
You know, and then after I came back from that, then I had to get a real job, because it was only a 6-week tour after, you know, after college. But it was, you know, it was great. It was a great experience. And, you know, and then I learned how to, you know, set up shows and do shows on my own. And then, you know, that's where like Marty Bacco and I, you know, we just did so many shows, you know. I think we performed at the Minnesota, University of Minnesota Golden Gophers basketball game. We've done a Viking halftime. And Minnesota used to have a team called the Minnesota Strikers, soccer. And so we performed for them. And yeah, it was just, it's just been you know, a real pastime and a passion of mine throughout the years. And like today I'm 63 years old and I'm still connected. I'm still playing. And it's, for me, it's just, I don't know what I'd do without it. I really don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your business that you created, Disc Concepts.
Yeah.
You said you ran you ran at least one tournament. What else did that business?
We ran one ultimate tournament. Primarily, it turned into disc golf, because I noticed in Minnesota with the early stages and the grassroots movement of disc golf that we, at the time, we had about 15, 16 courses in the state. So I put together kind of like a guidebook and created, each course had its own little specific page where it would give highlights of that course, directions on how to get to that course. And then I put it kind of into a booklet form. So I actually have like a copyright. And then, you know, I sold that. And then I was a manufacturer's rep for Innova Discs, Discraft Disc, and Lightning Disc. And then I'd buy from them. They'd come in, and then I'd resell them to to people because at the time disc golf discs weren't marketed in the retail stores. So then I began trying to contact sporting goods stores to, so that I wouldn't have to just kind of try to sell all these discs that were coming in individually. I
Right.
tried to move the plastic, like, let's get it in. At the time, it was like Kokesh Sports. And there was another sporting goods store in St. Paul that I got introduced, to have them carry the discs. And then it made ordering easier and stuff because then as they came in, I'd drop them off there and then they'd sell and I would sell whenever I went to a course. And so it really started out as a disc golf business because, that's what I kind of survived on with the buying and the selling. And then I also sold actual courses and installed courses.
Oh,
I think I've done
cool.
I think I've done 12 courses on my own and
Wow.
and sold them to different cities.
Are any
And
of
then
those still standing?
yeah. I've actually put a disc golf course in every city I've lived, except now I currently live in Edina, and I would love to get a course going in Edina. I know they have a small nine hole, but what I'm really looking forward to do, and I have the great space for it, and what I want to do is I want to try to establish a disc golf course specifically and design it for kids where they learn the game, so having the short fairways and just design it specifically for them,
Mm-hmm.
so that they're not going to like some of the courses we have and then they're taking so many throws to just get it to the basket.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my idea, I would like to have it be like at a school nearby so that they can use it at recess, after school, community education, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
that's a great
one of
idea.
the courses I have designed in Egan at Northview Park, I think I designed that course in 2004, and that has two schools right nearby. There's a middle school and the high school. So I originally designed that so that they would use it in their Phi-Ed programs. So it can be done, and but not a lot of schools have the budget,
Right.
and so you have to go to the city and ask them if they'll do it. And it takes time, but it's a lot of work to try to do a presentation and sell a course. But it's very rewarding once you get the job done, you get it installed, and I've learned a lot in the process of what it all takes, and then I just expanded my contacts in Frisbee because, you have to order all the parts from the
Right. Mm-hmm.
manufacturers and stuff like that. So that's, primarily Disc Concepts, it really pushed and promoted disc golf and different promotional things for Frisbee. And like when we did the Viking game for the Vikings, we did an ultimate demonstration. And then we also threw like field goal distance where we got at the 1 goal line and tried to throw the disc the whole way to get it through the uprights at the other end of the field. And the crowd would just go crazy when it went through the uprights, so it was like, and I miss doing those shows because that's what's really, pushing Frisbee and promoting it. And that's kind of a good thing that you can do for getting the awareness out there for the game of Ultimate, because Ultimate works for a halftime of a football game. It's just perfect.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. So it sounds like you did a lot with Disc Concepts. I see, or at least I wrote down, that it ran from 1983 to 1993.
Yeah.
Do you mind talking about why it came to a close, or what kind of the ending was like?
Yeah. Well, at the time, I had started my job at Northwest Airlines in 1986. So I was working a full-time job for Northwest, and then I was kind of full-time job with Disc Concepts, and then I was married and I had kids. So it's like, man, I'm just like doing all this stuff. And it was like, when was I sleeping, But anyway, after 10 years, my company started out with 5 guys. And after the first year, it was narrowed down to like 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the second year, it was pretty much me doing everything. So I learned a lot, from the business experience end of it. And, but I also reached a point where my life was changing as far as my gender. And so I, you know, talked to my wife about it at the time, um, and I just said, I think I gotta, go down this road and I gotta follow it and see what happens. And we split up amicably. And at that time, I dissolved the business due to the fact that, I was kind of getting burnt out from having to do all the work for the past 8 to 10 years on my own. And, it killed me to do it, that I was giving it up. But um, it was a good time for me to just take a hiatus
Mm-hmm.
and then follow where my life was going. And then, and then eventually I came back and, and everything worked out. I get along great with my ex-wife and the kids, and it just wasn't, for me, it was more about me, not her,
Mm-hmm.
not the kids. It was about something I needed to do for myself because I was just really going through a difficult time at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you for sharing that, Billy.
yeah,
Really appreciate that.
yeah.
I also have written down here that you are a part of the Minnesota Disc Sports Hall of Fame, and that you were one of, I think, 6 inaugural inductees.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we came together as a group, and because the Minnesota Frisbee Association, I don't know, I'll show this disc. This is Minnesota has, this club started in 1975, and it has a lot of history in our state. And so we came to the conclusion that, we really should have our own Hall of Fame, specifically for disc. And it's not the Disc Golf Hall of Fame, it's Minnesota Disc Sports Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to get it established up at Blue Ribbon Pines, because they're a fixture. They're not really going to go anywhere. They've got the pro shop, they've got the 27-hole course, and it's really just the perfect place to have it, where we can start putting things on the walls and kind of show our history and our memorabilia.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 2006, we kind of put together kind of like a guidelines and how do we want to, reward people for being selected into the Hall of Fame. And we came up with that. And the first 6 inductees really deserved it because of what they had done. They each have their own story. And eventually at the Hall of Fame, we want to have on the walls like a photo of each inductee and a
Mm-hmm.
bio and all this stuff. So it's a work in progress, even though I was inducted with 5 other people in 2006. Now that we found a home for everything at Blue Ribbon Pines, we're really working to formalize everything, get things like on the walls and display everything. But every 2 years we try to induct the next people.
Mm-hmm.
So we have inducted, I think, roughly around 18 people so far,
Okay.
18 to 20 people. And we have a big plaque with everybody's name that goes on it. Right now, I think there's 2 people from the Ultimate World that were inducted. I think Greg Williams was inducted first as an Ultimate player. I think he was after my year, so 2006. I think in 2008 maybe Greg was inducted. I'd have to double check on the years because I wasn't prepared enough to have that whole list. But and then the other Ultimate player that's in the Hall of Fame right now is Marty Bacco, because Marty, when the UPA changed their name to USA Ultimate in 2010, they also, I think Marty died of cancer in 2008 or so. I can't remember what year, but then the USA Ultimate came out with like the Marty Bacco Spirit Award. So every year they nominate somebody in the Masters division for somebody that represents the actual spirit of the game. So for Marty, what an honor, and, from being from Minnesota, amazing. So that really solidified Marty's, Marty was an overall player, and he was really good at discathon, which he used for practice for Ultimate in an individual way, because discathon was kind of like, it's an obstacle running race, but you have to throw the Frisbee and run and get it through an obstacle course.
Really? I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Yeah. And Marty was the 1999 Masters champion in discathon nationally.
Wow.
Yeah. So Marty was quite the player, especially in Ultimate too. Marty just found Ultimate, and he loved the game. He was quite the personality, and a good friend too. So
the Hall of Fame, you said, is up at the Blue Ridge Pines course?
Blue Ribbon Pines, yeah.
Blue Ribbon Pines, excuse me. Is that something someone could just go and check out if the pro shop's open?
We have some things that are set up. It's very small right now. We're waiting on Ray Jordan, who is the owner of Blue Ribbon Pines Disc Golf Course. He's kind of changing his facility up there into kind of like a tap room. And once that's all completed, then we're getting the okay to put everything we need, about our history, memorabilia, Hall of Fame items, and we're going to be given the green light here pretty soon. Right now, it's just a very small little corner of the space, but there's some interesting things there. But it will be so much better once we get the green light. Once he has the garage all remodeled, and for us to just start, going to town on it.
Yeah, that sounds like it will be really nice, and in a tap room too. So that'll be great.
Yeah. He's turning the I don't know if you've ever been out there, but It's a 27-hole course, and midway through the course they have like a little shack that sells food and beer and alcohol, and so in the front of the course there's the pro shop, and they have this garage, and they're turning the garage into like a tap room. So it's going to be really cool.
Yeah,
when it's finished.
It sounds like it. I've been up there a few times.
That's why I think Blue Ribbon Pines is really going to be the ideal space for our Hall of Fame. Because, I think they've been around since 2006, and after us old timers are all dead and gone, then, when new people that are, getting inducted, they're going to need to carry this on, as our history to Frisbee in the area. So we're trying our best to get it established before all of us old timers are expired.
Well, we've talked about, your introduction into disc sports and how you got started, and learning about Ultimate in college and freestyle and what you've done in disc golf. And then of course we've just talked about the Hall of Fame, which you're involved in. But you're also doing a lot of work in photography right now, aren't you?
Yes. I have always kind of in my travels, with Ultimate in college, and I was just an avid photographer. I just always took pictures. I always had a camera with me, and that has progressed into taking pictures for the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the PDGA, which is the Professional Disc Golf Association. So really, I shoot pictures for It's called Disc Golfer Magazine. The PDGA does this magazine, and they do it 4 times a year. It's quarterly, and this is actually my first cover.
Wow.
This is the summer issue this year, and I made the cover.
Nicely done.
Yeah. So I was kind of excited about that. I try to get to as many tournaments on tour as possible. Now that I'm retired, I can travel more, but I'm not under contract for the Disc Golf Pro Tour or the PDGA. I'm more of a freelance photographer. So if I can get to these tournaments, it's out of my own pocket. But if they use my photography in the magazine, I get paid.
Right.
So in a way, it's really kind of more of a hobby and using my experience to still try to have fun with something that I'm a part of in the Frisbee community. And I really enjoy it because I just love being around the pros. I like being there. I like taking their photos. And just to see how well how good they play. It's amazing just to see it all happen. And I'm there capturing it, so, and, that photography has always been a hobby of mine. So I'm putting my experience to work in the best way I can.
Yeah, that sounds like a nice gig in retirement for sure. So
yeah. So,
I have another listener question, actually, one more, and they were wondering if you remember the last game of Ultimate that you played, and when was it?
the last game of Ultimate was probably in 1983 for the Minneapolis Tasmaniacs with Marty
Wow.
Bacco's team. Yeah, because I think after that year I didn't. Oh, wait a minute, that's not right. Okay, so we did 2 demonstrations. I think we did the Viking demonstration was in 1987. So that was probably the last time I played Ultimate. It was 1987 in the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. It was the Viking game against the Green Bay Packers.
Nice. I'm a Packers fan, which is not popular around here.
It was kind of cool because you know how they have the big billboard up on the, so everybody in the stadium can see it, and they had, Ultimate Demonstration, Disc Concepts Incorporated, directed by Billie Ashton. It was kind of cool. I actually got a picture of it, but so I think I have that framed in the house here somewhere, but I don't have it next to me here, so I can show you it.
That is cool. I wonder, I'm going to have to do some research. I bet there's a recording of that halftime show somewhere, and maybe I can find it.
I think I have it on VHS somewhere.
VHS. Okay.
But I'd have to have it transferred. It's outdated. But I think we did another demonstration in the Dome too, where KQRS did this promotion for, it was like a celebrity football game. So there were like, Gary Gaetti, the boxer, what was his name? Norton, and just several, celebrities, Bill Brown, and they played football, but I think it was flag football. And it was like KQRS team against these celebrities. And then we did an Ultimate demonstration during the halftime of that. And then I remember I took a disc specifically to have all those celebrities sign it. And I have a signed disc from all those celebrities somewhere. Wow. So I'll probably put that disc that all the celebrities signed. That'll be up at the Hall of Fame sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just it's just cool history.
For sure.
I think that's on video too, but it's on VHS. So I gotta find the VHS tape and then just gotta pay to get it transferred.
Yeah. I think my father-in-law has a setup to transfer VHS to digital. So if you do find it, let me know and we can do it for free.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I'll look for them then, because that would be some cool history.
For sure. That would be very cool.
And with this project you're doing, I think it's very important, I think, because, people really see the value in it, you know, especially if you can, talk to the people that were in the beginning,
Yeah.
you know. I think, I think another person to talk to would be like, Tim Mackey or Greg Williams. Greg is, I mean, he would be just the man to talk to.
I was writing those names down. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, I think you've answered all of the questions that I had and all the listener questions that came up. We do have a little bit of time left. So I guess I'm just curious, do you have any other anecdotes or interesting things that you have been a part of or you've experienced in your time with different disc sports that you think would be fun or interesting to share?
Well, I used to, like I said, collect and stuff. And so a lot of the tournaments that I would go to, if they had a custom hot stamp disc, I started collecting that. That's how I got kind of into collecting. So, and then I have some nice things in my collection. So, I mean, like I don't know if you, when Whammo back in the day, they ran some pretty big events, and they were called they were the World Frisbee Championships at the Rose Bowl. So here they were, actually at the Rose Bowl Stadium, competing in all these different events with Frisbee, you know, and so I have like mint condition discs from back then, from those tournaments, and that's probably some of my prize discs that I have.
Yeah, wow.
And of those Frisbee championships, those were also like overall events. And the guy to beat back in the day, well, his name was Scott Zimmerman, and he won 8 out of the 9 years that that event was hosted. And I saw that one day his discs from that event went on sale on eBay.
Wow.
So I bought them, and I won or actually it wasn't on eBay. It was on a collector site,
Mm-hmm.
a Facebook collector site. So it got up pretty high, and I thought, man, what do I want to do? This is getting kind of spendy here, but I played back in the day with Scott, and I know who that guy was. And
Yeah.
I knew the significance of that disc would be, how important that would be down the line, that I've got this 8 out of 9 year champions tournament plastic. So I paid $800 for 2 of his discs. And then he actually sweetened the deal where he sent me, with the discs, he sent me his actual trophy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's like another prize piece in my possession that I'm trying to have it, like everything all put in a, like a shadow box
Yeah. Shadow
type
box
thing.
type thing.
And then
Display case.
I have a written certificate of authenticity from Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And, it to me, it was just, man, this is great, and I think that eventually it means a lot to me to have it, but I think I will eventually donate it to the PDGA Hall of Fame, because it should be displayed and seen, not just in my collection.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm just not ready to give it up
Yeah,
yet.
well, you paid $800. You can get a few more years out of that.
Yeah. It's just, it's a nice piece. And I'm another thing is Scott recently wrote a book, and he talks about his championships and stuff. And I actually have a couple of photos in his book.
Oh,
So that was nice.
yeah.
Yeah. So, Frisbee's just been a thing that's followed my life all through my life. And I just don't think I could ever give it up.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, that's...
It means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't know how to, it's just a passion. And I think, the sport is so great. It has a lot to offer. And, people just need to check it out, throw it, see how well it flies, and just the spirit of the competition and the community. It's really a powerful thing, I think. So, wow, I didn't think I'd get emotional on that, but after 45 years of playing it, or whatever it's been, I think I started at age 17 and I'm 63. So whatever that is, wasn't very good at math. So, but it's just been enjoyable, and I still enjoy it to this day, and I'm so glad I'm still a part of it, even though I don't compete as much as I used to, but, just being around it is something great, for me. It's an enjoyment, just like I said, like tonight, I'll be after this, I'm going to head over, and my son and I are going to go to the ultimate game, the home opener for the Minnesota Wind Chill. I think they play Madison Radicals tonight. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. And I'm sure that I'll see some of the ultimate players that I've played, back in the day. They'll be there too, so it's just kind of a really neat thing.
Yeah, for sure. And you've had the opportunity to experience this in a few different ways, from like being a player, a volunteer, like a business person within it, a photographer. So I think that that kind of adds to the experience you've had as well.
Yeah, organizer as well with like, like being a sectional coordinator for the UPA back then was kind of it was like the first big step that I kind of like got into this organizational thing. It's like, okay, I gotta contact all these teams, and okay, the sectional tournament's happening here, and it was really, I learned so much from just, getting in and being a part of it all, and, kind of taking a leadership role,
Mm-hmm.
So, it was rewarding, in the end, because it kept me in the game, and it kept me, the enthusiasm, was just amazing, so it's a wonderful sport, and everybody should play it. I can't speak as, I don't know what more to say about it, but it's amazing.
I think that is an excellent note to end on then. Billie, I want to thank you so much for just sharing your experience with all sorts of disc sports and your life with us. I really appreciate it, and I wish you the best.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Yep.
Good luck with this history project, because I think it's great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening. The History of Ultimate podcast is a project run by volunteers, hoping to spotlight amazing stories of Ultimate. If you are interested in helping out, please visit minnesotaultimate.org. A huge thanks for this episode goes out to Billie Ashton for the interview, Minnesota Ultimate, and discdish.org. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time with more history of Ultimate.